Hi there, this is Jory. I'm going to go over the syllabus with you. We're not meeting, as you know, hopefully by now, until June 15th, and I want to make sure you're aware of all the expectations of the course. So the class meets on Thursdays from 5 to 7:40. We'll be in Union 242 when we meet. You'll notice that we're meeting for 2 hours and 40 minutes. That's basically because even though it's a 2-hour class, it's summer semester and things are condensed because it's 10 weeks instead of 15. You have my contact information here again. Um, if you need to get a hold of me, email is my preferred method of communication. You can either schedule an appointment with me via email or just to ask questions via email, whatever is easiest for you. I'm in Union 228 as well if you want to stop by and check out my office hours. Um, this is a blended course, as you know, and the dates that we meet are highlighted in yellow on your syllabus. We'll be meeting 4 times this semester. On the other weeks, there's online content, including week 1 and 2. So we'll be talking about that. That's very important that you get on the course right away and kind of check it out on Blackboard. The course prepares you for practicum. We're going to review clinical expectations, supervision, professionalism, social work, human services, and chemical dependency codes of ethics. We'll talk about practicum sites or just work sites in terms of human services agencies. And we'll talk about documentation that you need to complete for your practicum. So we'll also talk about licensure requirements and as well as certification. We'll talk about the social work assistant credential you can get when you leave this program and the LCDC2 credential, which LCDC2 is a license that you can pursue once you graduate. Just like all the other courses in our program, you have to receive a C or higher in the course for it to count. We'll talk about that in a minute here. I'm going to let you read the student learning outcomes, the program outcomes, and the outcomes-based assessment for the college yourself. If you have any questions about any of these, please don't hesitate to email me. So course materials that are required, you do need to have access to a computer. You should complete Blackboard orientation if you haven't done this before. In terms of a textbook, we have the Baird book, the Internship Practicum and Field Placement Handbook. This is available at the bookstore. You can also buy it on Amazon. You can rent it, I know, on Amazon. You can also you can purchase for download an electronic version of it. So you might want to look at those options because they tend to be a little bit cheaper than buying the textbook. So when we meet, there'll be a little bit of lecture, a little bit of discussion, PowerPoint presentation, and it's not exactly PowerPoint, but the online course content is similar to PowerPoint. In class, we'll do small group work, hands-on activities. You may have videos as part of your online course content, and you'll certainly have discussion posts on online weeks. So the assignments are as follows. We have the Human Services Agency assignment and the practicum application, which are both worth 40 points. The midterm is worth 60 points. The ethics assignment is worth 60 points. You'll do a social work assistant application that's worth 40 points, and you'll have a final exam that's worth 60 points. Attendance and participation, whether it's an online week or an in-person week, is worth 100 points, so it's 10 points a week for that. Due dates for all the class assignments are listed at the end of the syllabus. We'll go over some of those. They're also entered into the assignments on Blackboard, so you can look it up on the calendar on Blackboard to see when due dates are as well. They are due on the date listed. You can submit what's called a late contract, and you may have seen that it's listed under the course information as well as the assignments and submission sections on Blackboard. There's a Word document called late contract. And if you submit that at least 24 hours before the due date, you can ask for a week's extension. I will extend it up to 2 weeks, but usually I only do that a week at a time. So if you request a late contract, you won't get a 20% deduction in points for a late assignment. You do have to turn it in either way, with a late contract or without. It needs to be submitted within 2 weeks of the due date. And again, if you forget to submit a late contract, it's still worth turning in because you're only going to get a 20% deduction of points. 15% of all graded assignments are the format, the grammar, the spelling, the typing, the appearance, that it sticks to the required length. Please use the writing lab if you have any questions about how to set up a APA format assignment. Okay, so the exams, you'll have a midterm and a final, have to be taken on the date indicated on the syllabus. If something comes up, if you have a family or medical emergency, you need to let me know ahead of time prior to the exam, even if it's just like an hour prior to the exam, you need to let me know so you can schedule a makeup within a week of the exam. If you miss the exam without notifying me prior, you still have to take it within a week, but you're going to get that 20% deduction of points. That only applies to the midterm. The final has to be taken on the date and time assigned. There's not enough wiggle room to make up finals because they're at the very end of the semester and grades are due. The exams in this class are going to be on Blackboard, so you're not going to be taking them in a classroom environment, but the expectation is that you work independently. It's an individual effort. We do randomize the questions, so even if you take the exam sitting right next to someone from this course, you're going to get the questions in a different order. They are timed. You'll have 2 hours to take the midterm and 2 hours to take the final. For all assignments and the exams and discussion posts and anything else I'm forgetting that I give you feedback on, I will do my best to get that to you within a week, that you'll have a grade and feedback on the assignment within a week. So that's my goal for that. The grading scale is 93% for an A, 85% for a B, 75% for a C. So remember, you have to get a C in the course to count it towards the major. So you really need to shoot for that 75%. So attendance and participation is, like I said earlier, it means class participation if you come to class, or if it's an online week, then your discussion board is your attendance and participation. You can't earn participation points if you're not in class or if you miss a discussion post. You don't automatically earn participation points for just showing up or for just submitting a discussion post. You actually need to do a little bit more than that. You have to participate. So if you're in class and you fall asleep, or if you're talking to people around you while the instructor's lecturing, if you are late or leave early, or if on a discussion board you really post a minimal response, or if you don't respond to a classmate's post. I'm going to remind you every week, to get full points on a discussion board, you have to post your own response to the discussion, and then you also have to reply to a classmate's post and give them feedback. So if you don't do both of those things, you're not going to get full points. We don't distinguish between excused and unexcused absences from discussion posts or live classes in this program, because you can miss one or two and still get an A or a B in the class. So we don't differentiate. I'm going to let you read through the special course requirements, the syllabus statements, the plagiarism policy, and the incomplete policy on your own. And again, please let me know if you have any questions. I want to just kind of go over the schedule and units of instruction. You'll see each week is pretty much laid out for you. I have the date that class would meet, June 1st for week 1, highlighted, and whether it's online or if class meets. So week 1 is online. You're going to have an overview of the human services profession and practice settings, and you'll see that's the unit of instruction, and then the learning objectives reflect the learning objectives that I mentioned at the beginning of the syllabus, what we're covering. Assessment methods are how you're going to be assessed, or what grades you're going to be given on what you learned that week. So it's active learning and participation in the discussion post. It's also going to apply to the Human Services Agency assignment in the midterm later in the semester. So the assessment methods aren't necessarily anything that's going to happen right, during that week. It's just how you're going to be assessed on the information. So your assignments are for week 1 to read chapter 2 in the text, as well as to participate in the week 1 discussion. So you'll notice that the week 1 discussion is due Sunday, June 4th at 11:59 p.m. The course content for you to read about the overview of human services profession and practice setting is actually going to always open Monday at 8 a.m. So it'll open on June 29th, which is Monday. And you'll have 6 days to read over the materials, as well as participate in the discussion or anything else that's due for that week. Okay, so just as an example, week 2 is kind of similar. It's also online. There's also readings assigned that you have to do for the week. And there's also a discussion post. Week 3, we're going to meet and talk about the practicum assignment process. And on Sunday, your practicum application assignment is due. I wouldn't suggest, and I put this on the assignment, that you do this ahead of time, because you really want to wait until the material is covered in class before you turn that in. And it's not going to be a difficult assignment for you to complete. Okay, so, and again, here on week 4, it's online again. You'll have the week 4 discussion, and the Human Services Agency assignment will be due on Sunday at 11:59 p.m. So you can kind of see how that works. Course content always opens at 8 a.m. Monday, and then any assignments and discussion posts are due by 11:59 on Sunday. Kind of going through, I'm going to skip to week 6 is the midterm. That's all you'll have to do that week is take the midterm exam. Week 10 is the last week of class. We will meet that week, but we will have a final during finals week. It's online, like I mentioned, just like the midterm will be. So with that, if you have any questions about the assignments, you can check in the assignment and submission section of the course. But any other questions just in general about the syllabus, let me know. Okay, thanks.